Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make a water droplet shirt. As usual, I washed and dried the shirt, then I soaked it in a soda ash solution for at least 20 to 30 minutes. I wrung it out of my Panda spin dryer so it's just barely damp. I've also turned the shirt inside out. I'm going to begin by centering the shirt, and this process is going to go pretty fast. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the center of the front of the shirt right up next to the center of the back of the shirt. That way whenever I dye the front of the shirt, it looks more symmetrical and the back will look more symmetrical too. I have a link that shows how to center a shirt down below this video in the description. Using a washable marker, I'm going to freehand on half of a water droplet. So just basically half of a teardrop shape. I'm going to fan fold the line and tie it with some sinew. If you're not familiar with sinew, it's wax coated, and so when I tie an area with sinew, it will lock on itself and create a waterproof barrier underneath that line. So when I apply dye to the shirt, the dye won't go underneath that sinew line. I'm adding a couple more sinew lines going toward the center of the shirt. I'm going to straighten my folds and continue fan folding and tying the rest of the shirt with sinew lines. As I go further out from the center of the shirt, I'm going to begin spacing the sinew lines further apart. Because this is a rather thick fold, I'm going to set the shirt aside and allow it to dry out really well before I begin applying the dye. For thicker folds like this, I prefer to dye the shirt while it's dry. I believe that helps me to get a little bit better color saturation into the middle folds of the shirt. If the shirt is too damp in the middle, the fibers are already saturated with soda ash water, and it's not really quite as easy to get the dye down into those fibers as it is when the fibers are dry. If the fibers are already dry when I begin applying the dye, They're kind of like a sponge, and so they will wick up or get more easily saturated with the dye than when they're too damp. For this shirt, I'm going to do an offset, and I'm only going to use 2 colors. I'm beginning down at the very end with lapis from Pro Chemical and Dye, and I'm applying the lapis to every other section of the shirt. I'm applying the dye with 4-ounce needle tip bottles. This will give me a little bit of extra control over where I apply the dye. I'll leave a link down below this video in the description for where I purchased these bottles. I usually leave links down below the description for where I purchased a lot of the tie-dye items that I use, and I usually put the colors that I used on each shirt down below the description as well. Since I'm using a different color on each one of these sections, I don't want to go ahead and oversaturate. I can add a little bit more dye later if I feel like I need to. In the remaining sections, I'm using Blueberry from Dharma Trading Company. Okay, so I'm going to turn the shirt over, and right on the very end in that main water droplet, I'm going to go ahead and put the lapis right on the very end on the back side too. But for the rest of it, I'm going to do an offset. Every section where I put Blueberry on the other side, I'm going to add lapis on this side. I want to add plenty of dye because this is a thick fold, but I still don't want to oversaturate. Now I'm going to apply Blueberry to the sections where I applied lapis on the front side. I'm going to set the shirt aside and allow it to process for at least 24 hours before I begin the rinse out process. Okay, so it's time to rinse the shirt. I'm going to begin rinsing in cold water to rinse out any of the remaining soda ash that's left in the shirt. Then I'm going to gradually warm the water up to hot and continue to rinse to try to get out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. After I untie the shirt, I'm going to rinse just a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and just soak the shirt to get out the remaining excess dye. I'm going to add some hot water to my sink and put a little squirt of Blue Dawn dish detergent down into the water and allow the shirt to soak. I came back a couple of times and changed out the water when it would cool off and continued the soaking process. Once the water was almost clear, I put it in the washing machine along with some of Dharma's textile detergent and washed it in hot water. After washing and drying the shirt, this is what it looks like. So what do you guys think? I like it. I think that the water droplet in the middle looks like a water droplet, so that's a good thing. And then of course, as the lines go out from the water droplet, they get a little less discernible, which is kind of what it's like if you drop a drop of water into a bowl. I mean, as it spreads out and ripples, the ripples get a little less defined. I also like the color combination. Lapis and Blueberry are a couple of my favorite shades of blue. So I'm really happy with the color combination too. So overall, I think it turned out looking like a pretty cool shirt. Listen, if you all have enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, I sure would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. All you have to do is hit the big red subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.